Welcome to our panelists. Welcome to our faculty who have joined us. Welcome to our recruitment coordinators, almost globally, definitely throughout Asia and one in South America. Welcome to all of our students, prospective students who have joined us this morning as well. Some of you I know have already applied to the college. Some of you have LOAs. Others are here purely for informational purposes. And that's really what the objective today is to get to know a bit about some programs and some of the experiences that other students have had at SLC, and what that means for them in terms of career prospects, aspirations, and so on and so forth. So before we start getting into the interview questions and answers type portion, I'd like to ask Christina first and then Carla to just quickly introduce themselves, talk a bit about who they are, what campus they're at with St. Lawrence College, and what programs they teach on.
Happy to, as I experiment with my lighting and my glasses so that I don't have so much glare. My name is Christina Decary. I coordinate the International Business Management Graduate Certificate Program on Kingston campus. This is a 2-semester graduate certificate program. We have students who start with us in January, May, and September, so an almost constant intake. And students typically take my program and they bundle that with another program. You're going to hear from Carla. Students like to bundle my program with Carla's program, also with project management and digital marketing. My students come from a huge array of backgrounds. I have engineers, agriculture majors, finance, accounting. I also have people who have experience in business already. And then there are people who come from mathematics. I had a mathematics major once. So people come with no business background whatsoever, and they come with sometimes substantial business background. And of course, the students also come from all over the world. So India, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, Mexico, South Africa. I'm missing a few. I'm sorry?
Nigeria?
Nigeria. I'm missing countries, like just from all over. So the careers that they go into are as varied as their background, right? They're putting together their background. Agriculture, for example, I have a graduate who had a bachelor's degree in agriculture, was passionate about agriculture, and he studied project management and international business management. He put that all together, and now he is a supervisor with a large cannabis operation in Canada, which is a new, exciting, growing area. And he's very happy with how he put it all together. And he was actually balancing different job offers. So he almost moved out to British Columbia. I'm kind of glad he didn't now because of what British Columbia is going through. And he is in Scarborough, so just 2 hours down the road from Kingston. He didn't have to travel very far to start the next phase of his career. That, in a nutshell, is international business management.
Thank you. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, cannabis is legal in Canada, so don't get panicked about that.
Yeah, totally legal. He's a good, young, upstanding young man.
Yes. It's a very good career to get into. It's very profitable, so don't rule it out. Thank you, Christina. Carla, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carla Kingston Floyd, and I am the coordinator of the Supply Chain Management Program, and I work on the Cornwall campus. I have about the same amount of diversity in backgrounds of students that come to me and countries where the students come to our program from as Christina does, so I won't repeat all of that. But as Christina says, our programs marry up very nicely together because supply chain management is global, international business is global, and also students do also marry up with project management. On the Cornwall campus, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of supply chain distribution centers here in Cornwall. We have become known as a hub city because we are right on the border to New York. We're 1 hour away from our capital, which is Ottawa. We're 1 hour away from a very large port in Montreal. We are only 4 hours away from the largest city in all of Canada, being Toronto. And we have the busiest corridor, the busiest commercial corridor in all of North America runs right here through Cornwall. So we have Walmart with 3 distribution centers, DHL is here, Matrix is here, Benson's is here. Plus, the great thing about supply chain management is it trains you to work in so many different sectors. So you can work in manufacturing because they all have inventory and they all have shipment of goods that needs to happen. You could work in a distribution center and make sure that those shelves are stocked when you go shopping. You could work in one of the trucking companies that manage those, manages getting all of that freight transported. So we're very fortunate that we have a lot of opportunities here. And my students have been in huge demand. They start working part-time as soon as they get here. We have set up our programs to not have classes on Fridays because local employers have asked us, please allow us to hire your students on Fridays and Saturdays. They're our busiest days. So a lot of them, if you want to, can work part-time just about as soon as you get here. Advancing through careers has been phenomenal for them. I don't know how many team leaders I now have at Walmart. These employers now reach out to me when they need people. If you've read our latest, 30 Under 30, Jimmy Johnson, who is from India, and he has an engineering background, he's only been out of our program now for 2 years and is on his 3rd promotion. So he's now at upper mid-management. Advancing very, very well, and the students seem to do really well. It's really comes down to what you learn from the program, but if you have the ambition and drive, the opportunities are there, especially in our Cornwall area. We also have Amazon with 2 distribution centers within an hour. One's within 40 minutes of us and the other one's within an hour and 20 minutes from us. So major players all in Eastern Ontario, which is why it kind of makes sense to keep supply chain management here in Cornwall. But like I say, we do partner up very well with Christina's program and with project management as well, because most students want to do 2 programs so that they get their 3-year work permit. Our program is the same as Christina, where we have intakes in September, January, and May as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. And I can attest to that. I'm always seeing your posts on LinkedIn about job opportunities that are coming up in the area. They're always looking for St. Lawrence College grads. And yeah, supply chain is a big driver for that. And you also bring some experience with you, Carla. I think your professional background before you came to the college was working in supply chain, is it not?
Correct. I have actually managed 2 of Mr. Irving's, and if you know Mr. Irving, he is a very large corporation, and I have managed 2 of his trucking companies for 13 years. So yes, I have, and I own my own small trucking company that I've owned since 2001. So that keeps me very current. But also my faculty members, Peter Collins managed at Walmart for 23 years. Victoria Workman is in HR. So yes, our people are very much connected to this field.
And you mentioned Amazon there a moment ago, which is a good segue, because I think 2 of our student panelists today have either worked for or are working for Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. So why don't we introduce our student panel now? Let's start with Miggy. Miggy, if you can unmute yourself and just quickly introduce yourself, tell us what program you have studied or are studying and what you're doing now.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from. Probably good evening. I'm Miggy. I'm on my 1st year at SLC taking DMC, Digital Marketing Communications. It's my very 1st semester, but I'm already here in Canada and most of my classes are in person. More than half of my classes are, I think 5 out of 6 of my classes are in person. It's been pretty fun. It's just cold, so it takes adjustment here on my end since I come from a tropical country. But right now, aside from studying DMC, I'm also working part-time at SLC under the marketing department. And my position is social media and communications assistant. So it's very related to my course. And I'm lucky that I was able to land this opportunity because I get to tie in what I'm learning with what I'm actually doing. So if you have any questions about DMC later on, you can ask me because I do think I have some insights and what, like, I can set your expectations if you decide to pursue this course.
And so what does DMC stand for, Miggy?
Digital Marketing Communications.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And that's a postgraduate program.
Yes, it's a postgraduate program. It's 1 year. So as what was mentioned a while ago, because students usually want to get that 3-year PGWP or permit, I might take another program next year in the fall after this one.
Okay, awesome, great. And just so everyone knows, the tropical country you're referring to is the Philippines, correct?
Yes, the Philippines, yes.
So it is a shock for you in terms of the weather in Canada. And it's not even that cold yet, so.
Actually, I was going to say, because I think today the temperature is back to above 0. So I was thinking, okay, this won't be as bad.
Well, okay, it takes time, but you'll get there. Let's move on to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is it your sister?
She is my sister, yes.
Let's hear from her.
Yeah, so hello everyone. Good evening, I guess, to most of you. Good morning, good afternoon to those who are here on our side. And yes, Miggy and I are siblings. I've been here since mid-April. I am in the business analytics program, currently in my 2nd semester. And it's been a challenge, to say the least, coming back to school after 3-4 years in a different country, having to take on more responsibilities. So that's been the challenge for sure. But the experience here so far has taught me a lot of things about where my career can go in the future, and getting to interact with the staff, the faculty at SLC, and the support that they provided me with so far has really helped me with the adjustment phase here. Being in Canada, being in SLC. And yeah, as me said, if you guys have any questions about the business analytics program, I'd be more than happy to share my thoughts on it. I'm halfway through the program, so hopefully I can provide a clearer view on what it's like, since it's a relatively new program. It was created just a few years ago by our associate dean. It's a very in-demand program, and I do see how it could benefit a lot of people who intend to move to the data analytics space moving forward. So I'm more than happy to dive into that to anyone who wants to know more about it. And I also do work part-time. I work for the International Student Office. I help process applications. So it helps me get to see, how the other side of things. I used to be the applicant, and now I'm the one seeing how the whole process works, seeing how these people also get to have the chance soon enough to be in this place where I am right now. And I hope that it will be just as good of an experience for them as it has been for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Isabel. And I think that you're correct in saying business analytics is a challenging program. I would say that all of the programs will challenge you, especially at the postgraduate level. Business analytics is notoriously challenging in terms of the workload. So it's a real, you have to put in your time, but the reward at the end of the program is quite significant. It is definitely one of those programs where, similar to what Christina and Carla were saying about their programs, graduates are often being pursued to be hired before they even graduate. So very rewarding program, very statistically focused, I think. And that's probably the only program where working part-time might be a challenge, but it's quite impressive that Isabel is managing to handle that workload and to work part-time as well. And I can see that one of our prospective students here, Om, from India, living in Singapore, is actually, he's applied to business analytics. So Isabel, if you want to respond to Om's question, if you can, in the chat, feel free to do so. If not, we can get to that in a bit. I just want to get through the other two students that we have on the panel. So Yali, if you don't mind unmuting yourself and just quickly introducing yourself and your program.
Okay. Hello, my name is Yali. My program is also business analytics. I choose it because I like mathematics and programming when I was studying. And this is my first semester. It is very busy and challenging. A lot of assignments and quiz. Our class is still online. All of the class is still online. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
perfect. And where are you from, Yali?
I'm from China.
Okay. What city?
Shanghai.
Okay, Shanghai. Very nice. And I don't want everyone to be scared about business analytics. It is challenging, but as I said, it is rewarding. And just to give you some context, one of our graduates, actually, she was from Nigeria. She is from Nigeria. She graduated a few years ago, and she is now a senior data analyst with IBM, working in Ottawa. So there are some great career prospects from business analytics for sure. It is a 2-year program at the moment. And again, it is one of those postgraduate programs. So I'll introduce our next and final student panelist, Jing. If you can unmute yourself and just let us know your program and where you're from.
Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jing. Like Yali, I also come from China, and I used to live in Beijing. And it is the first semester of my program. It's UX design in Kingston campus. But all of my courses are delivered online yet. So I haven't been to Kingston. I'm living in Montreal. Yeah. So my classmates, they come from different countries like Mexico, India, and there are almost 24 person in my class, and they are very nice. And our professor, they have a lot of experience in the industry. And I like to say the course is very, focused on the practice, and I like it.
Thank you. And that's a good point, is that a lot of the programs at the college, whether it's undergraduate or postgraduate, they are focused on the practical side of learning. So although there is the theoretical component, college in Canada, as many of you already know, is driven a lot by practical hands-on learning and getting that experience. And UX design, so user experience design, I have another example there, a student from Ghana, actually, recent graduate. She did project management and user experience design. So she did both of those programs together. And yes. She now works for SAP, which is a major software company. And she went in, she entered that company at a fairly senior position. So I think employers across all fields, they're looking for graduates who come with that knowledge, that hands-on experience, and that's what college can offer. That's really where college and university will differ in a lot of different industries.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so let's get into some questions. Carla, I'm going to turn to you first and just ask you, how has the pandemic, or the effects of the pandemic as it continues, how has that affected possible career options for graduates from supply chain management?
Great question. The first thing that the pandemic did was really spotlight how important our supply chain is, right? Nobody knew before this whole career field of supply chain, and now you can drive up the 401 and you see signs that say thank a trucker, and because this has really highlighted how much people need their toilet paper. Because we had a big shortage of toilet paper in Canada for a while. It was kind of a funny story. But the other thing that has happened with the pandemic is people now have started shopping more online. You develop new habits within about 3 months of doing something. So this new comfort level of shopping online is not going to go away now. People have been doing it for almost 2 years. They're very used to it. And that has brought up a whole lot more need for that last mile delivery. So the careers are just exploding in this field because the pandemic has shown, one, that it's very important, two, that we're very vulnerable, and we need to look at this supply chain that we have. If everybody's been watching the news, you saw about 6 months ago, the Evergreen Hearst got stuck in the Suez Canal, and the backlog for those containers is going to be months getting those out because it backlogged the ships, and now the ports are backlogged, and now the containers need to get out, get unloaded, get back on the ship, get back to their country so they can be reloaded. So the pandemic has had a huge impact on this field and an even more impact on demand.
Thank you, Carla. And it's really interesting. I find my impression of supply chain is that it's at every single level of everything that happens. Pretty much, you can apply that concept to so many different things, whether it's the student recruitment process or it's something as important as shipping containers getting stuck in the Suez Canal and then not everything backlogged along the way. So really interesting. Christina, I'll turn to you next. You already kind of alluded to one graduate who you know has found success. I'm curious if you know of, and international business, for the record, is also a relatively new program. So yeah, in your experience, do you hear from some of your recent graduates about a typical or traditional entry-level type position that they might slot into upon graduation?
There's no typical job. Unfortunately, that it's a little bit challenging to sell my program to people. They say, well, what could my job be? And it could be anything, right? So one graduate in particular, many of my students are quite entrepreneurial. They want to own their own businesses. They want to start their own businesses. So one student who would like to own his own hotel someday, he is managing a hotel in Kingston. He's a manager. And so for him, that was an important step to get that practical experience before he goes out on his own. It also is helping him with his pathway to permanent residency. It's ticking all the boxes for him. So he is not where he wants to end up, but he is on that pathway to make sure he has the experience he wants. Also, I have some students who would like to own, like in particular, owning a Circle K franchise is a goal especially for my students from India. They are great money makers. The stories they tell me, I didn't know that owning a Circle K was so lucrative. I don't know what I'm doing, teaching for a living. I should own a Circle K. So part of their plan is that they're working at Circle K part-time while they're in school and then going into a management position upon graduation to get that experience, get that knowledge so that when they do purchase or invest in their own franchise, they have that experience. I also have a student who, I've had 2 Canadian students, actually, 2 domestic students. We are open to domestic students. I have many theories as to why we don't appeal to domestic students as much as we do for international students. Nobody's interested in those theories except for me. They're not that interesting. But I have had 2 domestic students, one in particular, and you, Carla, just a few? Yeah. So one in particular has a long history working in restaurant business, but was lacking something to take him to the next level, right? So he was managing restaurants, but he was always getting stuck at that level. He would like to own his own business. So I'm not quite sure where he is right now, but I know that was part of his plan. And then of course, my student who studied agriculture is well on his way. I don't think he foresees himself owning his own business. He does see himself working for larger outfits at an increasingly higher level. But it is challenging because, like, what do people do? They do anything. They do all kinds of things.
Well, that versatility is really, I think that's a positive thing, and especially when you consider that many international students coming to take a postgraduate program, especially one that's only 1 year, will then take a second. So international business management is a fantastic way to complement other programs, including supply chain, which is something that we've discussed.
I agree. So they're taking something that is actually quite general. International business has finance, human resources, supply chain, marketing, communications, project management, a little bit of business analytics. It's a little bit of every single little area. And you're going to put that together with your background from before you started studying in Canada, but putting it together with something quite specific that is highly sought after in the job market, such as supply chain management or project management. Those are very specific skills. Like, you can apply to be a project manager, and we are desperate for them. You can apply for a very specific supply chain operations job, and we are desperate for them. But then you also have that general business foundation that potentially you could be competing with somebody who has project management, and that's fantastic. They don't have the big picture of business, and you're competing with them, and you do have that big picture. So I think it's really valuable, powerful to put a general thing together with a very specific thing.
Thank you. I'll turn now to Miggy. I'll come back to you, one of our students. I'm curious, so now that you've started in your program, have your career goals or your career aspirations changed at all? Or did you have a journey in mind before you came to Canada and into the digital marketing communications program?
Ever since I graduated from undergraduate, my business program in the Philippines, I've always been interested in marketing. And when I looked at the courses at SLC, initially the plan was to take business analytics, same as my sister. But then after seeing that there was a DMC, a digital marketing communications program, I thought about taking that one instead because I want to pursue a career in marketing. And what I like about this program is that digital marketing is not exactly available to learn in the Philippines. So when I saw the course outline of digital marketing communications and saw something like web marketing, graphic design, video editing and strategy, and seeing the lessons that we had to learn, such as SEO, search engine optimization, I really thought that, these terms are not unfamiliar to me. Like, I've heard these before, but I never actually learned them. I had no opportunity to learn them. And I think it's really good for me to expand my skill set and to learn something new, which I really appreciate about this program. And because of that, I do think I have more opportunities to explore when it comes to my career moving forward. But I do have a certain direction I want to pursue. It's not yet 100% clear what it is, but there is a certain direction. And I was talking to my program director just last week. I have yet to consult with her in a more personally, in person. I did tell her that before, when I was still in the Philippines, it was a dream of mine to work in Marvel, anything Marvel related. What an ambition. But now that I'm here in Canada, and I know there's an office in Vancouver, suddenly I thought, that's not just a dream, it's possible. And I think it's just that mindset of thinking that I just need to work on it. And because I know it's very feasible, then I just have to work on that direction. So that is my direction. How do I do that? I'm not so sure yet. Maybe if it's working in an events agency or something that would require more digital marketing aspects and skill set, I will consider those positions as long as it gets me towards that direction. So just a short, TLDR, or too long, didn't listen to everything. My short answer is my direction is my placement, my career is not 100% clear, but I do have a direction which is clearer now because of this program.
That's a perfect answer, I would say. And I love that leaving just a little bit of room for that flexibility. So having your goals, but understanding that you may want to shift those ambitions as you move through and as you come to your time to graduate. And Marvel is a great aspiration to have, by the way.
Yeah,
for sure. Before I get to another question for one of our students, there is a question in the chat box. So Carla, this is specific to the supply chain industry, actually. And I don't think we need specific numbers necessarily, but there's a question coming from one of our agent partners in Vietnam, who's asking about employment rates in that industry around the Kingston, Cornwall area. So you kind of alluded to some of that already. I'm just wondering if there's any additional information you might have to provide.
Yes, absolutely. Because again, most of my students stay very well connected with me on LinkedIn. So I know what they're doing. Our program has been running now. This is the 8th year. And I can say with 100% certainty that in the 8 years, there are only 2 graduates not working in this sector. One went to work in a prison sector. Not quite sure where that interest came from, but as a prison guard. And the other one, she was an elderly lady in her 60s that did the program kind of for fun. So she never had any intention of working in the sector, but she did it because she wanted to upgrade some skills. And so, yeah, other than those 2, everyone has found jobs.
That's great. I hope that provides a bit of an answer for you, Jess, at We Global Education. I think that's a pretty telling story about the success of graduates here, because when our classes are anywhere from 15, 20, 30 students, and they're all getting jobs, that's an indication that it's successful. And as Carla mentioned at the start, Cornwall in particular, which is where supply chain management is run, that is one of the biggest supply chain corridors in the country. It's a busy spot for some big distribution centers. So if you have more questions for clarification, please type them into the chat or unmute yourself anytime. I'll turn, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to clarify something too that came to mind about this. Please don't narrow your thoughts on that you're going to work for a trucking company, a distribution center, or a manufacturing facility, or a customs broker. When we talk about logistics, it's more than just the logistics of moving freight, right? Logistics is anything. It can be moving information. It can be moving people. It can be moving freight. So please don't narrow your scope, because we actually have one of our graduates working for Cornwall Transit. We did a project for them. They were so impressed with the project that people don't think of the bus as being logistics, but you're still moving freight, just your freight has legs and it can move. So logistics is beyond just freight people, it's also information. So it just so that if somebody says, but one of your students is working for the bus, that's still related.
Absolutely. And I mean, as I said, I kind of hinted at this earlier, but like even student recruitment, that's a supply chain thing, because for us, the supply of the students coming to the colleges in Canada, that's an important thing. And it does have direct ties to supply chain management. We were working with some, correct me if I'm wrong, Carla, but I believe the international department was working with some supply chain students on a project to identify those pain points and how to more seamlessly get things working.
Yes, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is making our program very applicable to projects. So I did have a team of 5 students, and what they did was they learned doing flow charting and swim lanes, and they mapped the route from the time we source a student to the time they graduate. And we had 5 different students, and they had 5 different swim lanes because they all had different experiences when it came to getting to the college, and then their swim lanes join as they progress through the college. But yeah, we do a lot of real world projects. And that was one of them, which was fun.
Awesome. And that's again, one of the most important things about a college education. It's that real world experience, the hands-on experience. You're helping companies through your placement or otherwise to solve actual issues that they're experiencing. Let's come back to Isabel. I'm curious, what do you like? This is kind of a very subjective question, but what do you like most about being an international student at SLC? And I know that's challenging in a pandemic to answer, but if you can give us 1 or 2 thoughts about what you enjoy about being a student here.
Yeah, one thing actually not one thing, a lot of the things I enjoy here in SLC as an international student, it's just a support that's given to you by the entire school, the staff, your faculty, your classmates. You know, being an international student away from family, having to take on new responsibilities while juggling school. It's a challenge for sure. But knowing that SLC offers a lot of avenues where you can reach out for support, connect with people who can relate to what you're struggling with and help you go through those tough times. And I've actually made a lot of good friends already just by being in SLC. There's this department that we call spiritual care, which is not really about religion, it's more about mental health. And I connected to a lot of people there. They've become one of my closest friends here in SLC. And it's just a support system that's really helping me go get through this program and adjust as an international student, which I think not a lot of schools offer. It's more of you're there for the education. Here they really value the students. They're not just about giving you the academic work. They also want to make sure that you fit in, that you're being supported with your needs, that you have people to turn to when you need help. So that's been a big help for me here in adjusting and in feeling and having a home away from home, having my own family here in SLC.
I love that choice of words because even during a pandemic, SLC prides itself on its ability to have that sense of community and that sense of family. And I'm glad that you feel supported in that way, Isabel. So thank you for that. I'll ask a question now to Yali. If you could describe your program in your own words, how would you do so? How would you describe it to a student who's not sure about which program might be a good fit for them?
Yeah, my program is business analytics. It's mainly you teach us to use mathematics and programming tools, data analytic tools to use data to analyze the data, to visualize data, to see the outline trend of and find the information you need to help the organization to make decisions. Yeah, and the program in SLC, we not only learn the hard skill, we also can learn some soft skill. For example, writing and human relationship and change management. Sometimes software skill is very important. And we have career development class to help us to develop our, to teach us how to find job in Canada in data analytics related field.
That's a really good point, Yali. Thank you for that. Two comments on that. One is that St. Lawrence College does have a comprehensive career services department. So for students who are looking for part-time work while they're studying in Canada, we can help you with that. And for students who are looking for a position upon graduation, we can help you with that too. So we have a dedicated team across all three of our campuses, Kingston, Cornwall, and Brockville, who can help our students, domestic, international, it doesn't matter, can help you to prepare a resume, can help you to prepare for an interview, can help you with your job search. Their objective is to find you employment, good employment, to advise you throughout that process and to help you gain those skills. And Yali, you also talked about the importance of writing skills and just in general communication. That is a big emphasis for international students, for sure. For some, it's easier than for others coming to a new country. And Christina, I know that you're a big proponent for this. The communication aspect of for international students coming into the classroom in Canada is important at this college. So we do emphasize that as part of your curriculum as well. Okay. Jingjing, I'm going to turn to you now. So you mentioned that you're currently in Canada, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. So can you tell us how, are there things that you wish you'd known before you came to Canada? Maybe there's some advice that you could provide to prospective students who will be traveling to Canada, or current students who will be traveling to Canada, things that you wish you'd known before you arrived?
I think I used to how to say I think maybe you know, I have got a good score in the English test, but after I come to Canada, I think that means nothing. You have to learn English well, and before I come to Canada, I want to learn more things about the culture here, because I don't want to make some troubles or misunderstandings from each other during the communication. So I do some research, briefly research about it. Yes, I think that is very useful. And also for the new student, for me and my friends, we talk about how to start down in a new environment. So things I want to know is about how to rent a place and how to apply for the medical insurance and how to get contact to the doctors and things. All of the things relate to our daily life. I think that is the most important thing before I came to Canada. Yes.
That is very important, these things that you're talking about. And one of the nice things about Canada is that it's hard to offend people, I would say, because Canada it's so many different cultures altogether. But certainly there's a lot of preparation you should do in advance. Now, your English language score, depending on your country of origin, you do have to have that IELTS test or that TOEFL or maybe the IEOP through our own college. And we will be having a session on that on Monday. But you're dead right, Jingjing, that's not always enough, because when you're actually in the country and you're having conversations, it's different. It's different than a test on paper.
Yes.
Another point to that is that, again, at all three of our campuses, we have at least one international student advisor. And so they're called ISAs, International Student Advisors. And they are here to help you with adjusting, to help you to find accommodations, to learn how to look over a lease for an apartment, to get involved in the communities. Any questions or concerns you have before or during your time at SLC, they are here to help you with that transition as well. So, Carla, I'm going to come back to you as we're coming close to the end of our time here. I'd like to ask you, we've been talking a lot about how the hands-on experience is so important. So I'd like to just really hammer that point home. So how do you feel the placement aspect of programs, for programs that do have placements, how does that impact a student's ability to find employment?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because before, all of our students would opt to go out on placement, and because we give an option, they can go on a placement or they can work on a real community project. We've seen a transition in the last 7 years because all of our students are working part-time while they're in school. So they're like, I don't need to do placement. I'm getting paid to do this 2 days a week anyhow. I want to do the community project. So they get that double wow experience. So they're getting their experience doing their part-time positions. And now most of them are opting to do the community project, because when they're applying for a job and they put on, like, you know, the community projects that we're doing right now, we're revamping the marketing of our international pathways programs. So my students are working on that. Another one is we have a local restaurant that was hit hard from the pandemic, Stomping Grounds, and we are getting them back up on their feet. So if you can put on your resume that you've worked for 8 months, because we're 2 semesters as is Christina's program. So if you can put that you've worked part-time in the sector for 8 months and we're part of a project that got a restaurant that's well known here, you know, up to the next level, that's a double whammy. So we're kind of seeing a shift, but the placement is important because it gets you in and you get to know the people. So whether you do your placement through a non-paid placement that the college arranges, or you do a placement through part-time paid work, it's getting in there, it's getting to know those connections. But above that, I'm also going to say really connect with your professors, because we're all from the field and we have those networks and those connections, and we can make those for you as well.
Another important point, it's one thing to come in and get your placement. It's another thing to be motivated to get the right placement and then to go out and find a job upon graduation. We will provide you with all those tools, as I mentioned, between the international student advisors, career services, the professors that you'll have who are industry connected professionals in almost every case. The motivation that you bring is really going to influence how successful you are in that process when time comes to graduate and find your dream job or the right entry-level job. You have to put in the hard work. There's no question about that, but I can guarantee, and I'm quite certain that every faculty member would agree, that if you put in that work and you really try hard, you will find results. The quality of the education that you will receive will lead you to find employment. As a community college, our objective is to fill those voids in the community where there are jobs, jobs that need to be filled. They're looking for particular graduates, and that's why we have these types of programs. That's why we have supply chain management, international business management, digital marketing, business analytics, and so on and so forth, including at the undergraduate level. Excuse me. I'm going to go back. There was a question here from, I can see your name is listed as Ricky, but you've said your name is Maria. So you're based in the UAE and you're applying to health information management for fall 2022. Great to see that you have applied, or you will be applying so far in advance. That's important to do. So some perspective on this course. What I would say, first of all, is that we can connect offline, and I can provide you with the contact information for the program coordinator for health information management. It is another one of those challenging programs. So it's an undergraduate program, very challenging, but again, very rewarding. It's a very specific type of program where you come out and you will work in a very specific, like a niche part of an industry, and a part of an industry that is starved for skilled workers. So you do become part of the Canadian Health Information Management Council, I believe, when you graduate from that program. It is one thing to point out about that. So this is a session focused on business programs. Health information is definitely business focused more than medical. And that's sometimes a confusion students have. It's very business oriented and it's very technical. You have to have good IT skills. It's a lot of data processing, statistics, understanding codes, not necessarily programming, but you need to understand medical coding. And of course, they'll walk you through all of that. But really challenging, again, really rewarding program. And I can see that Philippines is your country of citizenship. So Oliver, who's here from the Philippines, if you wouldn't mind connecting with Ricky or Maria and having them contact you, that would be fantastic, or get their information. Yeah, great. Yeah, I agree, Christina, very business focused. So yeah, and definitely. Okay, Christina, I'm going to turn to you then for possibly our last question, given the time. And again, this is kind of a subjective question, but for your recent graduates or for students that you connect with, and I know that you're very good about developing that relationship with your students, is there any kind of particular advice that you would give to students who are coming upon graduation? Something broad or maybe something specific that you like to tell your students as they graduate?
Well, something I tell them from the moment they begin with me to the moment they graduate, you have to work on your Canadian network and your Canadian relationships. This is something when I taught first year domestic business students who are all 18 years old and from the region, I said the same thing. You have to work on your relationships and your network. You can do it during the pandemic. I know I have developed relationships and friendships in my network purely online in the past almost 2 years. It's very doable. We practice that in my courses in particular. And there's also a project course in our program that is all about community connection and community engagement. And so the relationships are there. And so, I mean, some of my students understand this, but you need to know that in Canada, things are very much relationship driven. And sure, there are job postings that are out there and you can apply for these job postings cold. But a lot of the time you're going to be introduced to a job opportunity through a contact, through somebody that you have an ongoing relationship with. And it is these contacts and these people who do want to help you. And I see it happening on LinkedIn. I had a graduate who was really frustrated because he didn't have any Canadian experience and he kept on being asked, where's your Canadian experience? And he's like, I'm trying to get it. And he said so on LinkedIn, and then people that he had connected with in our program, for example, guest speakers who had come into our course, I saw them reply to him and say, let's talk, let's connect, I'm going to help you. Because people do want to help you. And that is something I see over and over and over again, how much people want to help international students, how much people want to help people who are new to the country. Either they've been there before. We've all been there before. We've all been at the beginning of our careers. And a lot of us have been starting a new career in a new country. Not me, but a lot of the people I know have been right there. And a lot of my friends and colleagues, I know that they've gone through that. I want to help. Even though I haven't gone through that, I want to help. So we are, and Canadians, they say Canadians are very polite, but what I find actually is Canadians are just really helpful. It's our national identity is to be helpful. So build those relationships, make those connections, and know that people do want to help you. Communicate and engage.
Absolutely. And that goes back to the piece about getting to know your professors. It's important for you as students to make that connection. They are connected in the industries and they want to help. They're there to help you. One of the beautiful things about a college of this size, so the small to mid-sized college with about 8,500 students, your class sizes are probably going to be relatively small, especially considering if you contrast St. Lawrence College against some of the bigger colleges in Toronto or in Ottawa, even in Montreal. You're going to be one of possibly only a few students in the classroom, depending on your program. It's really an opportunity to engage with your faculty, engage with your peers in the classroom, your other students, get to know them. You never know how those relationships will come back to benefit you. And I don't want to make it sound transactional. It's not purely to gain something in the end. As Christina said, people want to help. They genuinely want to help. Your faculty absolutely want to help you be successful and to find success. Thanks. It is sweet and it is true. Everybody at this college lives and breathes that, I believe. It's part of the values of St. Lawrence College. And you'll find coming here as a student, whether virtually or in person, you'll get that impression quite quickly, I would think. So all the tools, again, all the tools are there to help you find success. You just need to reach out and take it. And that's what we're here to do. So we're just about out of time. I will just say once more, all of our country coordinators, so our recruitment team on the ground in the Philippines, in China, in Korea, in Vietnam, they're here, as well as Brazil. If you scroll up in the chat, so if you joined us a little bit later, if you scroll all the way near the top, you'll see a lot of their contact information has already been posted. So you can reach out to them if they're responsible for your region. So if you're coming from a country where they are. I'll also put in my contact information here. I am responsible for international student recruitment across the entire continent of Asia. So that includes India, the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, but also the rest of Asia as well. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. I know Carla and Christina also popped their information in the chat. And definitely if you want to reach out to find the right person to reach out to in the future, we can certainly facilitate that. For example, if you want to speak with the program coordinator for health information management. So we had a great turnout today. I can see someone just joined us. Unfortunately, we're just coming to an end now. If anybody's interested in attending the session on Monday, so Monday morning, our time, which is 8 a.m. So the same time as this session, which would be, I believe, it's about 10 p.m. in Korea, about 9 p.m. in China and Philippines. I may be incorrect. I'll let my team correct me if I'm wrong. That session will be dedicated to our Integrated English Online program, so our IEOP, which is if you need to up your English language skills, if you need to get an English language test in order to qualify for admission, that's going to be a good session for you to attend. So we'll be there with Ining Chow, who is the one who's designed that program, as well as 2 students who have taken or are taking it. So thank you so much, Christina. Thank you so much, Carla, for joining us. Thank you to our student panel, Jingjing, Yali, Miggy, and Isabel. Wonderful to have you here. The experience that you're sharing is firsthand, and you can't get much better than that. So I hope that this session's been insightful for all of our guests today. Again, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you. Appreciate your time, and we're going to finish right on time. So I'm delighted with that. I'll hang around for a couple of minutes if anyone else wants to, but with that, I'll close things off and I'll stop the recording. So take care, everybody, and have a wonderful morning, day, night, whatever it is for you. Bye.